he's making some major changes, not the least of which because certain things have to change because Batgirl is not happening. Welcome once again, nerds, to the news. In today's episode, we will be talking a lot about the impending Discovery Warner Brothers merger, as it has its tentacles all throughout pop culture, entertainment media right now. Ripples of this are being felt all over the place, save for music and gaming, but even there's some interesting stuff going on. So if you're listening to or watching a syndicated outlet, go find the main channel for that. If you are on the main channel, thank you very much. But before we get into the news proper, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to get to. We are very, very close on our very first milestone on the main YouTube channel. So thank you very much, nerds, for that. We're the first milestone being 500 subscribers. Once we get 500, then we have a community tab. We have a bunch of other things that we unlock, if you will. So that's looming very close at this point. Probably, at this rate, it'll probably take another month to 2 months, I would say. And we will be right where we want to be. Beyond that, we have, there's not going to be a viewer mail section again. I'm not going to do the extra viewer mail episode because all of the interactions have been on the 2 videos, which we are no longer making mail episodes about. So, because, vacations have been happening and I haven't been in the regular swing of things, it is what it is. All of that being said, there will be a fair amount of short content, so please do check out the other platforms for the shorts. There is the Nerd News Clips channel. You can follow the Instagram. The shorts go up there mostly. Twitter, the shorts go up there. Not so much active on the TikTok anymore, just for many plethora of reasons. All of that, let's get into the news finally. Okay, so we start today in music like we do. So first up, we have no follow-ups, no corrections for the music section, though we do have some new music videos and new music to discuss. First up on the docket, Disturbed has released a new single called Hey You off of their new record that is coming out later this year. And there are a plethora of Disturbed fans out there, so I'm going to tread very lightly with this. And I don't necessarily have to tread lightly because it's a pretty solid song. It's not my cup of tea necessarily. I'm not the biggest Disturbed fan, though this does seem to be getting back into an older groove for them. So there is that. If you are a Disturbed fan, you will obviously love this track. If you used to be a Disturbed fan and you kind of fell off with them, give this one a shot because it's not terrible. It's listenable for sure. But if you just generally don't like Disturbed and the kind of music that they generally play, you're probably not going to dig this one. So this is a very light recommend for Disturbed's new Hey You. Link down in the description. Our next piece of new music actually kind of took me by surprise. Parkway Drive has released a new single. This new single is called Darker Still. This is a slow burn. This is actually a bit of a ballad, power ballad even, because of the epic solo at the end. But I'm not generally a Parkway Drive listener, but this one, just for, even just curiosity's sake, I would say go listen to it. I'm not saying spend money and buy it, but give them your 6 minutes because it's a long song, but give them your 6 minutes because it's revisiting something that not a lot of bands do out in public. Like maybe on the records, the deeper tracks, a lot of bands will give you a ballad like this, but a band like Parkway Drive doesn't usually cut that kind of song, at least not as far as I'm exposed to their sound. So Very interesting choice for these guys, and honestly, go check it out. This is a moderate recommend for sure. Again, Parkway Drive, Darker Still, link in the description. And then we're talking about a new Dope track, yet another band I didn't think I was going to be talking about probably ever again, because Edsel Dope has been doing like lots of things in Hollywood and stuff, so I didn't think, you know, the band was really a thing he was going to revisit, and apparently he is. This, I don't remember if this was coming. Oh, I do remember because I put it in the notes. Seventh studio album, Blood Money Part 0, will be released February 24th, 2023. That's what this one comes off of. This is a different sound than I remember Dope having. Dope was, I mean, they're credited with being electro goth or something like that, some silly subgenre of music. They're kind of nu metal. They're a little synthy, a little bit, but they're mostly just like a nu metal band. And at least that's what they used to be. I can see that electro metal thing that I've heard other journalists describe them as in this track. So it's very interesting evolution of sound. I don't feel like I need a shower after listening to this Dope track. So there's that as well, because I mean, I've seen these guys live. They opened up for Mushroomhead years and years ago, and it was not impressive, but this was kind of impressive. So this is a pretty hearty recommend for the new Dope track. And then, rounding out the new music section is a song that's not exactly new, necessarily. Technically, I guess it's still new, because the record it's on is not out yet. But it's the new Yen song we've already talked about from Slipknot. They just released a proper music video for it, and I really dig this song so much, that was worth putting it in another episode. So, Yen is a kind of a return to form of my favorite style of Slipknot's track, which is the atmospheric Skin Ticket Scissors kind of track. So on the first record they had Scissors, on Iowa there was Skin Ticket, and they've kind of not really visited this style of song since then. And now they have, again, not to the same degree, but still very solid track, kind of my favorite one off the new record of the three that we've heard so far. I really, really dig this one. I'm very excited for this new record. It'll be out by the end of the year, I'm pretty sure. I didn't put it in the notes because I was in a bit of a hurry. Either way, the new Yen video is worth a watch, and the song absolutely worth a listen. So let's talk about tours. We have a couple of pretty interesting ones. First up is Hoobastank is going on tour with, wait for it, Lit. Yeah, it seems that the year 2003 is back in full force. So they're on the Tried and True tour. They have support from Alien Ant Farm. Like I said, 2003 came calling, and these guys answered the call. The tour starts October 14th in Nashville, goes all the way through November 8th in Cedar Park, Texas. I mean, even out of morbid curiosity, this can't be a super expensive show to go to, so give it a shot, just because, I mean, Alien Ant Farm, for no other reason but Alien Ant Farm, because those guys rock. But yeah, just weird. And then we're talking about Ginger has finally announced some new American tour dates. And this one is almost as weird as the Hoobastank one, because they're going on tour with POD. That is their stable support. They have a couple of other bands supporting them, but they're not throughout the entire tour. They're on different legs of the tour. So first we have Vended, then Malevolence, and Space of Variations will be the openers, it would seem, for the different dates. It looks like they're not all on the same dates. I think the Space of Variations is on a couple of dates with either Vended or Malevolence, but neither Vended or Malevolence are on the same date. So you can check this one out. It starts it starts October 31st, and that is in San Diego, California. It runs all the way through December 22nd and ends in LA. There are some dates outside of California, I promise. Go check it out. You can find a link to pre-sale tickets down in the description. That is all we have for tours. We have a couple of pieces of regular ass news that we're going to get into. First and Foremost is a passing in the world of music. Cradle of Filth one-time guitar player Stuart Ansis has passed away at the age of 48. Stuart was on the first 3 records, I believe, from 95 to 99. So not the first 3, but the 3 there in the middle where kind of Cradle of Filth became a thing that people listened to all over the world. So pretty significant in the history of Cradle of Filth. This is the era of Cradle of Filth that I am the most familiar with, though the most recent stuff is not off of my radar by any means. So just kind of, this is a weird, I didn't see the report. It didn't say, as far as I could see anyway, what was the cause of death, but 48's pretty young, man. So there's got to be something crazy going on. Either way, we're going to take a moment for former Cradle of Filth guitar player Stuart Ansis. Okay, so from the heavy one, we're going to go to the goofy one just to kind of balance things out. So there is something going on iTunes right now. A song that came out 19 years ago is #1 on iTunes, and nobody seems to be able to tell me exactly why. It's all over music news media, but nobody really understands the reasoning behind it. Evanescence put out a song called Bring Me to Life. That song came out 19 years ago and never peaked above #5 on Billboard. It is now #1, so the first time this song has reached a #1 on iTunes, which is not insignificant. It is the #1 played or downloaded song on iTunes. At least it was as of this morning. Very well could have changed by now, but just a weird kind of thing that, I don't know, maybe you have an answer for why this is. Let's talk about it in the comments or over on the socials. I don't know, something crazy is going on. So all right, there's our goofy one. Let's get into the better news, right? So Kitty, as we have kind of been covering, have done some dates, kind of nostalgia dates on some very small tour and a couple of festival dates. And now it seems that Miss Morgan and her sister Mercedes are getting the bug to put out new music. There is nothing set in stone yet. I don't even believe they have a proper band lineup currently because of, things that have been going on behind the scenes, but Morgan was quoted recently in an interview as saying that new music in 2024 would be awesome. I think I'm paraphrasing. She might have said cool, but something. Is this, I don't know. Their first 2 records were totally listenable. The last 3, I'm pretty sure they put out 5 records before they went on hiatus. So the last 3 records were unremarkable. Is this something that we need? Is Kitty a compelling enough name for us to go spend money on their music again? I don't know. I want to hand this one off to you guys as well. Is Kitty a band that can have a proper career going forward, writing new music like, other legacy acts? Or is this something that's more of a nostalgia push and they're not going to go forward very much? I can see it honestly going either way, because there were moments of greatness in their latter records, just were only fleeting moments, whereas the first 2 records were like, all right, these guys have something there. So again, passing that one off to you guys. Our final piece of regular ass news has to do with one of my favorite newer bands, Avatar. Avatar has apparently already recorded and mixed their next record. What? How does that work? They just put out Hunter Gatherer, I guess that was very, kind of mid to late pandemic era, so maybe they just had a whole bunch of, I don't know. Either way, I'm super stoked about this. But Johannes, the lead singer for Avatar, has been quoted as saying that he wants to save heavy metal with their new record. It has yet to be mastered. It's just been mixed, so there is still another pretty significant stage in the recording process that they are not done with. But it sounds like we're going to be getting new Avatar at the very latest 2023. That's pretty exciting. I'm not even going to lie. As more comes out about this, we will definitely be talking about it. just the fact that they have already recorded and mixed a whole album's worth of material is insane to me, because they've been touring mostly. Anyway, that's what we have for regular news. Let's get into music suggestions for the week. Our suggestion is a new band, a new act, I guess, that my girlfriend actually found. Black Braid is a black metal act from upstate New York, near the Adirondacks area, actually from the Adirondack forest. It's Native American black metal. It's honestly well done. If you are a regular watcher or listener, then you know I'm not big on the black metal, but dude has something special. Black Braid, go check it out. I linked down in the description the video to his newest single, Sakandaga, I think. Great stuff. If you like aggressive music, you're gonna dig this. I mean, it's definitely black metal, so it's not for the faint of heart. If you don't like aggressive music, you will not like this, but I think it's worth a listen I don't know, just the landscape of the community is always changing, and this is a great example of that. Gaming and tech is honestly huge this week by comparison normally. Only because, though, Gamescom is happening. I literally just watched it before I came to film, so there you go. We still have, I just watched opening night, I guess. We still have like 4 days worth of Gamescom, so there is still potential for things to come out of Gamescom. So if this is out of date by the time you watch it, I apologize, but I only saw the opening ceremony so far. So let's get into follow-ups real quick. Multiverses Season 1 has officially launched. You can go check it out. There's a bunch of playthroughs and stuff for all of the characters that are available in the developers pack for the game. And I believe the new character is Rick? Yeah. Rick from Rick and Morty, which just the scope of characters in this game is never going to cease to make me chuckle. Yeah, so that's what we got there. Let's move into trailers. There, like I said, Gamescom, the opening ceremonies, the opening day, whatever, opening night live, just happened, so there is literally a boatload of brand new gaming trailers. I have some of the more noteworthy ones linked down below, but also the Gamescom stream, the VOD for the stream is also linked down there, because it's like an hour and a half long and totally worth a watch, just so you can see all of the trailers yourself and form your own opinion for which ones are noteworthy. But the big ones that I wanted to point out, Dead Island 2 actually has, stuff out on it now, and not just rumors and not just developers saying, hey, we're gonna do a thing. We have actual evidence that it exists, and there's a trailer, and that's worth a watch. Go watch that one. We have Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. This comes from the same developer that brought us the Friday the 13th, the game. And so it's multiplayer in a very similar way as the Friday the 13th stuff. So one team, it looks like, one team are the clowns, one team are the teenagers, and therein craziness ensues. Go check out that trailer, again, link in the description. And then, oh my gosh, I almost leapt with joy when I saw this. Dune Awakening is a new game coming out very soon. Check the trailer for that one too. Does the death mantra, and it's so epic in and of itself. It does officially reside in the proper Dune universe, and it does take cues from Denis Villeneuve's Dune, though it is not a retelling of, it looks like, anything from the first book, because Paul is much too old to be from the first book in this trailer. So somewhere second book, maybe third, though I can never remember which book it was that he dies, spoiler alert, that he dies in. It was either the second book or the third book, but eventually Paul dies because it's a space epic. So there's 7 books. You can't have all of the same characters in 7 books. So whatever, I don't care. But there is one trailer that did not happen at Gamescom, but happened shortly before. It's technically not really a trailer, it's a gameplay feature. We got Wolverine gameplay for Marvel's Midnight Suns. It looks epic. I'm not usually a turn-based, this might not even be turn-based, it seems to be turn-based, RPG player, but Wolverine's always a win, man. So go check that out, linked in the description as well. And then let's move into some regular-ass news. We got some sort of Lord of the Rings thing happening. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Embracer Group is kind of at the center of a bunch of different things. They have been purchasing gaming developers left and right, it would seem. They purchased Middle-earth Enterprises, or they got in on a purchase. I don't know. Depending on which outlet you read, kind of words it differently, so it kind of muddies the water. But either way, Embracer Group, who owns a couple of smaller developers at this point now, also owns the rights, the gaming rights at least, to the Lord of the Rings universe. So the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, all of that stuff, they have the rights to make games. So they signed a contract with Weta Workshop. The contract where they signed is kind of laying it out so that we could very well see whatever Lord of the Rings game they might be working on, because they got the rights pretty immediately after signing the contract. So presumably they are working on a Lord of the Rings game, and we could very likely see this as early as 2024, which seems really, really short development, unless they were working on it before the deal finished. I don't know. There's some shadiness going on with Embracer Group right now. I'll try and link down in the description to a video that kind of goes into greater detail of that, but right now, that's all you really need to know, so let's move right along, shall we? Also, a wonderful thing that happened at Gamescom, and this deserved to be in its own little section for the news, is Hideo Kojima has announced that he is going to be doing a podcast on Spotify. Starting September 8th will be the first episode. It is going to be dual release. And by that I mean there will be one, for every episode that releases, there will be one file or one version of it that is in Japanese, and then there will be another version of it that is in English. So pretty much anyone can listen and you'll know what's going on. That's freaking epic, because Hideo Kojima is a legend in the business and is kind of an epic personality unto himself. So yes, please, and thank you. That does, though, bring us to the end of the regular ass news in gaming and tech. So let's talk gaming and tech suggestions. Our suggestion this week is honestly for a game that I have not played personally, so I'm going to put that out there. But Stray is a PlayStation-only game, and man, I wish I had a PlayStation. I mean, obviously, there's a number of other games that make me wish I had a PlayStation, not the least of which the Metal Gear games and such, and Street Fighter and whatever. But Stray is the newest addition to that list of games that I really wish that I had a PlayStation in order to play, because watching walkthroughs is fun, or Let's Plays rather, is fun, and I really enjoy the aesthetic and stuff, but I want to be the one that controls the cat. Man, this looks like a blast. I mean, it's not exactly like high octane, there's not a whole lot of that kind of action in there, but just great storytelling and great like visuals, and just video game as art is on full display here, and I love it and I think it's great. So that's our suggestion for the week. If you can get your hands on it, go play Stray. Comic books and books. Let's get into this one. This is going to go a little faster. So first up, we have trailers. We don't have any follow-ups or corrections, but we do have one new trailer. Tim Drake Robin, a new book that is out, I believe out now. Written by Megan Fitzmartin, art by Riley Rossmo. This book honestly looks like a lot of fun. If you go watch, it's not a proper trailer, it's kind of a teaser behind the scenes thing. But this is Tim Drake as detective. This is kind of what you want from a great Batman book. Also is kind of what you want from a great Tim Drake book, because Tim Drake is the one Robin who figured out who Batman was before he was told who Batman was. So I guess technically Damian Wayne did too, but that doesn't really count because he's his son. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, just the general premise here just looks like it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. So it'll at least be worth picking up the first 2 to 3 issues. You can go check with your local comic book shop to make sure when those are. I believe book 1 is out now, though it could be September, and I could just be misremembering my date. Either way, check it out. Tim Drake Robin. It looks like it's going to be good. Anyway, moving on, we have another new book that has been announced. Monica Rambeau is going to be the lead in her very first book. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be titled Photon, though some outlets are saying that there isn't a title yet, and some outlets are saying it's Photon. So maybe. But it is coming December. This coming December will be book number 1. I believe it was December 8th, though don't hold me to that. Just noteworthy that Monica Rambeau, who has been a pretty major player, maybe secondary player, I guess, secondary major, whatever, in the Marvel Universe thus far, is finally, has not yet, but is finally getting her own lead book. So that's pretty cool. Our next piece has to do with Daredevil and the Punisher in the comic books, not in the live action. Daredevil and Punisher, Marvel has been teasing this for a little bit, and now it seems that the Man Without Fear is going to be going up against the Punisher in Punisher issue number 7 and Daredevil issue number 5. In the current runs right now, this was an epic battle, like in the early 90s, mid 90s. Now, I don't know. I mean, it could still be great. I'll let you guys decide. I don't think I'm going to pick this one up. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I'll pick up a trade that tells the full story of the Punisher versus Daredevil here, but I don't know. I just can't see myself picking up floppies for this one. I think all of my goodwill is going to the Tim Drake book, and none of it's reserved for Daredevil. And then we're talking Batman versus Spawn. This is not the first time this has happened. This is actually not exactly what we're talking about in the news, though there is a little bit of a preface. So the Greg Capullo, Todd Macfarlane collaboration for this new book, it's not the first time this has happened. Actually, a number of times this has happened. And that's kind of what the news is here, is that those previous books that have already happened with other artists and other writers are getting new artwork. They're getting new covers, I believe, updating certain things in the imagery and such. So there is going to be a new compiled edition of the Batman Spawn books, the classic ones. That is going to be on shelves November 15th. And that is the end of the regular S news. But we do have a suggestion that is in a similar vein. Comic book suggestion for this week is Batman vs. Predator. There are 3 collected works. You can get the 3 of them in something of an omnibus collection that is totally worth your time, just like the Spawn books are worth your time, the Batman Spawn. Batman Predator is just too awesome to not read, and so getting the 3 of them together in one book just is the obvious way to do it, because they all came out in the 90s at the earliest. So yeah, absolutely worth a read. Batman, Predator, get the collected works. It's a thing. DC, Dark Horse, yeah, do it. Do the thing. We're moving on. TV streaming. We have some stuff to talk about. We're going to start really filling this Warner Brothers Discovery merger in this section. All right, so our very first piece for this section is a follow-up on the Batman Caped Crusader animated series. If you remember, Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, and J.J. Abrams were all set to produce, with Reeves and Timm, I believe, also doing some sort of direction and or show running, but don't quote me on that part. Either way, it doesn't matter because it's not happening anymore. With the merger impending between Warner Brothers and Discovery, a lot of things are kind of getting cut and tossed to the wayside. And it seems that the bigger gambles, the things that they were kind of going to be testing the water to some degree, many of those things are getting cut. Not all of them, because Penguin is still going to be happening. We still have a couple of other DC Comics related things that are going to be happening. Not the least of which being, Harley Quinn, but that's going strong, so I don't see why they would cancel it. But this Batman Caped Crusader, being as there's nothing actually made for it yet, kind of made sense that they were going to cut it, considering they're cutting a lot of stuff going on right now. The Sesame Street being part of that, yeah, just a bunch of craziness. But there is kind of light at the end of the tunnel if you were hoping to see this Batman Caped Crusader animated series, and that is that they have announced that they're going to be shopping it around to other distributors? This is the weird part of this piece, is that who else can distribute Batman? Like, it's either Warner Brothers or nobody, right? That's how this works. So how are you going to shop around to other distribution or other publishers or whatever, when really it's a property that is owned by Warner Brothers, and as Warner Brothers says, you're not making this series, there's nothing else you can do, right? I don't know. If something else comes of that, we will definitely be talking about it, but I don't think it will, so we're just gonna move on. We have one other follow-up for this section, and it has to do with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We did talk about this, I believe, when they were announcing that it was a thing that might happen, and that was kind of the last place we touched on it. Well, now it seems that Fox has officially indefinitely shelved the project of this new Buffy live-action series. For what seems like the potential that it was too woke. Honestly, like, that is all indicators point to maybe they were trying to do something that wasn't going to draw an audience, but was going to tell people exactly how virtuous they are. So yeah, that sounds like a good business decision if that was your whole purpose of making this series, is to be like, hey, we have virtue too, but we have no quality entertainment. So yeah, quality entertainment, it looks to be on the rise, let's say. That is what we have on that one. Let's actually move into trailers next. We have Midnight Club, the next Mike Flanagan series, coming very soon. Go check out the new trailer for that. This one is, again, based on the Christopher Pike book of the same name from 1994. Looks like Flanagan. Honestly, looks like it's going to be 100% worth a watch, so go check out that trailer. Link in the description. Next, we have Wednesday. The new Netflix Wednesday Addams series has a proper trailer that almost pulls it off. There are a couple of issues with this trailer, not gonna lie. Not the least of which being, what kind of weird-ass face is Luis Guzman making in that very sudden cut to him and Morticia, and then cut away. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia looks fantastic, honestly. And the girl that they have playing Wednesday looks the part pretty well. There are a couple of shots in here where I think the makeup might have been a little too much, until you get to the end of the trailer, at which point you see Wednesday smile, and then I lose a bit more hope for this trailer, because Wednesday Addams does not smile. That is kind of the ongoing thing with Wednesday. That's why it was kind of a big deal in the Addams Family Values movie when she smiles at the play, because it frightens people, right? Because nobody's ever seen it before. So that kind of has me a little disheartened, but still holding a small modicum of hope that this will be a watchable series and Netflix can kind of get back to their redemption arc. That is what we have for trailers, though, this week. So let's talk now about regular-ass news. And first up on the docket, Superman and Lois is losing their young John Kent. Jonathan Kent actor... Sorry, my eyes are not adjusting. Jonathan Kent actor Jordan Elsas, I think that's how that's pronounced, is leaving. For creative reasons, he wants to go do something else. He's done, 3 seasons now of Superman and Lois, and he's like 20-something, and now he's got whatever. Either way, the Warner Brothers has already announced that they're going to be recasting the role of Jonathan Kent, so maybe we won't notice. Maybe it'll be like Roseanne back in the day when they had to recast Darlene. Who knows? But that is what we've got for our first piece. Next, we're talking about the CW. So staying on that channel, because that's where Superman and Lois airs, the CW was kind of just sold. Not entirely. The controlling companies of the CW were Warner Brothers and Paramount, so they jointly had control of that channel. Warner Brothers Discovery thing going on like it is right now, it kind of made sense that they, again, started scaling things back. So they and Paramount agreed to share their majority shares, or to sell, rather, their majority shares to another company, Next Media Group. Next Media is saying now that they're going to trim the fat from the CW. They are Warner Brothers and Paramount do each still own 12.5% of the company. So that is going to be how they continue these shows that have these Warner Brothers created icons and things in there, like Superman and Lois. So this is going to continue, but the new CEO that is in charge of things over at Next Media, as far as this goes, is saying that they're going to target the actual audience and not the hopeful audience. So the people who actually watch the CW are people who were in their late 40s and their 50s, and not teenagers who they've been marketing for basically the entire time the CW has existed. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of years to see how this evolution comes about, because they want to be profitable. They said that this has been an unprofitable venture for many years. They have been operating at a loss for many years. So the entire broadcast channel is losing money every year, and they're just now starting to do something, whatever. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly they deem as money makeable, if that's a way to put that. So we will be keeping tabs on this, and you can come back here to, hear more about it as things change and evolve. It's not going to be every episode. But that's what we've got on that. And then our final piece for TV streaming is a viewer/listener request. This one, I really couldn't get a whole lot, and I do apologize. This was requested by Christopher Ortiz, regular viewer and participator with the show. He asked me to look into the new Jurassic World series. There is going to be a new Jurassic World series. It is going to Netflix. It is not the kid-oriented, from what I can tell. It is not directly related to the kid-oriented Camp Cretaceous that has already run for a number of seasons on Netflix. This is going to be a new series, presumably geared more towards young adults, perhaps, that is also going to be animated, and that is all I was able to find. It is going to be an animated series on Netflix that is not geared towards young children. So as more comes out about this, we will be keeping tabs on it as well. That is the end of the regular ass news for TV streaming. So TV streaming suggestions. Our suggestion this time is an old one, and this is one that I think needs to get a little bit more attention these days, because it kind of set up the first two seasons of it, at least, set up a bar of quality that we've been trying to maintain ever since. Specifically, what I am referring to is Heroes, Season 1 and 2 very specifically, because after Season 2 it kind of went a little crazy and then it got canceled. So, Heroes Season 1 and 2 from a few years ago, this is what kind of got this entertainment ball rolling. The reason Season 2 was cut rather short because of the writer's strike back in like 2004 or whatever, 2003. And then the rest of the series suffered, but those first two seasons were so good, and now that kind of paved the way for this quality television era that we live in now, that I think it deserves some respect. So go check out Heroes Season 1 and 2 for this week's TV streaming suggestion. Movies section. We have follow-ups, we have trailers, we have a little bit of everything, so let's do it. Follow-up for this episode in movies has to do with Enola Holmes 2. We know what's happening. We now know when it's going to be released, November 4th of this year, 2022. So we will be seeing Millie Bobby Brown do the little sister to Sherlock thing once again. Again, November 4th, 2022. Go check it out. And then we have one other follow-up, and that has to do with the Planet of the Apes. This has been one that we've been keeping minor tabs on for some time. They have recently cast Owen Teague as the lead for the new movie. And the new movie is reportedly going to be a quasi-soft reboot of the 1968 original, starring, obviously, Charlton Heston. Yeah, this sounds very interesting. There is going to be kind of a continuation of the Andy Serkis ones where he played Caesar. It's also, I don't know, it's got a lot of weight on its shoulders. We also know that the subtitle for this one is going to be The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It is going to be directed by Wes Ball, who's done a number of things, so I'm kind of interested to see where this one goes, but we've got headway going, so we'll be keeping tabs. That is what we have for follow-ups. We only have one trailer to speak of, the new Hunger Games movie, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't know that this does what it's supposed to for a trailer. Like, I'm not any more hyped to see this. I probably am not going to see this if you ask me right now, though. I mean, there is still some time before it launches, so maybe that will change, but not likely. I'm also not the target audience for this, so let me know if you are excited about the new Hunger Games movies, and if this one does well, presumably it too will spawn a series. So that is our one trailer. Let's get into the regular ass news, and that starts with Community. There is official word that a Community movie, the conclusion to the story from the TV series, presumably, is somewhere in the very, very early stages of production. What do I mean by very, very early is that it still might not happen. Series creator Dan Harmon has said that there is a script and there is still a lot of work to be done in order to make it happen, but things exist so that it can happen. And he is being as optimistic as saying it's not a matter of if, just a matter of when. And I don't think that's exactly accurate because he can't exactly bring back the same cast. Donald Glover is a very busy man, and so is the entire rest of the Alison Brie, the rest of the cast of Community. They're all very busy people. They're all relatively successful actors, so why wouldn't they? They're not waiting around to make this movie. So I feel like you gotta hit while the pan's hot, or however the phrase goes. So yeah. It exists. Will it see the light of day? There is a very slim chance at this point. Moving right along, we do have a sequel to a movie that came out a decade ago, I believe. Maybe even longer. Yeah, a little over a decade ago. R.I.P.D., the Ryan Reynolds, Jeff Bridges comic book-based movie, is getting a sequel. Yeah, no, you heard me right. They're making another R.I.P.D. movie. It's going to be live action. It's not, though, going to be bringing back Ryan Reynolds or Jeff Bridges. This is going to be called R.I.P.D. Rise of the Damned. The new cast is Richard Fleeshman, Jake Coy, Carrie Knoop, and Stephanie Levi-John. I don't know any of those names. It's not to say I don't know their faces, though. So interesting that 13 years later we're getting a sequel to a movie that did rather poorly. Perhaps this isn't exactly a sequel. Perhaps this is just using the same book as a point of reference and then kind of jumping off from there. So we'll only know when it launches. We're going to move on next, and continuing with this trend, we have another really old movie getting a weird sequel. So Ferris Bueller's Day Off is getting a sequel called Sam and Victor's Day Off. So who the hell are Sam and Victor, and what do they have to do with Ferris? They are the valets in the Ferris Bueller's Day Off movie that also drive the Ferrari for a moment in the movie. That's what this is going to be, is that it was a little murky as to the details if it was just going to be the story of them driving the Ferrari from the first movie, because if that's the case, it's going to be a very short movie, or if it's just those two characters who originally had no names in that movie, those two characters going on a separate day off kind of adventure seems a little bit more likely. But again, the way it's being worded in the media kind of could go either way. We'll see when it happens. This one is a This one is a continuation of a movie from 1986. So almost a 40-year-old movie. Wow. That makes me feel old. So, yeah, that's what we've got for regular ass news. Let's get to the suggestions. Movie suggestions for this week is, honestly, I was kind of struggling, and then my girlfriend put on a movie, and I went, oh my God, I can't believe I've haven't suggested this one yet. Airheads, Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, Adam Sandler it's not the best movie. It's not going to change cinema for you, but it is a hell of a lot of fun, and it is super goofy. And if you kind of dig the 80s hair stuff as far as music goes, then you will absolutely love this. So yeah, Airheads is our suggestion for the week. And then that rounds us out to the rumor mill. It's a short rumor mill this week, but it's all has to do because we have this because we have the Discovery Warner Brothers thing kind of looming. Yeah, that's lending itself to a lot of rumors these days. So let's start with what we have, and we will move right along. We have 3 different rumors that are based around the Aquaman 2 movie. Jason Momoa's next lead role for DC, for the DCEU, it would seem. The first of those rumors is that David Zaslav is making major changes to this movie. Instead of cutting it completely because they've already invested so much, it seems that, according to the rumor, he's making some major changes. Not the least of which because certain things have to change because Batgirl is not happening. And then we have another rumor that kind of ties into that. But so this first rumor, major reshoots being necessary because Zaslav deems it so, I'm going to give this one about a 60%. There is a fair reason to believe that that is what is happening. Yeah. So next on this same, series of rumors, we have Ben Affleck being in this movie. We know that Ben Affleck is in this movie, but simply his existence here is enough for the rumor mill to say, well, now Michael Keaton is no longer going to be a part of this movie. And again, this ties back to that first rumor in the reshoots, because Zaslav is making them reshoot all of the scenes that had Michael Keaton Batman in it with Ben Affleck Batman. Even though the two could theoretically exist simultaneously if they found a way to do the multiverse right, I don't know that they're going to. So, I don't think this one's very true, though we're giving this one a 45%. I feel like there is kind of enough to muddy this one up that we can't really tell, but I really don't think this is the direction that they're going to go, because Michael Keaton's just too much of a hit with fans. And if Zaslav is doing these things because he wants to make money, then keeping Keaton in is going to make more money than taking Keaton out, especially because his inclusion was so high profile. So that brings us to our third rumor for Aquaman 2, and that is that Zaslav is going to continue the DCEU through the Aquaman 2 movie, and in so doing wants to bring in the Matt Reeves Batman into the DCEU. No. I don't think this one's accurate really at all. And honestly, it flies in the face of another rumor we're going to talk about here in a minute. So, no, there's no reason, there's very little evidence to suggest that this is the direction that Zaslav wants to go. There's very little evidence to suggest that, honestly, we're going to get more than what Matt Reeves wants to make when it comes to his Batman universe, because it's a different universe. So 35% likelihood that this is going to be a thing, and that's honestly quite generous. Next rumor has to do, once again, with Batman. This time we're talking directly about the Matt Reeves Batman. This rumor is a little bit of a different take on it, and that is that after the planned trilogy that Matt Reeves is going to do, then his Batman, Robert Pattinson, is going to be phased out entirely. Now, this has, I feel like, a little bit more to go on, because, again, if he is leaning into Ben Affleck as Batman for his main universe, Zaslav, then there's no need for Robert Pattinson. And we're going to treat the Robert Pattinson Batman as an alternate timeline. So, yeah, 60% likely that this is going to be the case. Matt Reeves is going to do what Matt Reeves wants to do. Whether or not it's limited to a trilogy, that part I believe less, but I do think once he's done, that is going to be it for his version of the DC cinematic universe. So yeah, 60% there. Our next one has to do with the Snyderverse. Again, these are all kind of intermingled. So Snyderverse is what Zaslav, according to this rumor, wants to continue. And the rumor claims that the mere existence of Ben Affleck as Batman in Aquaman and potentially other movies right now is all of the evidence they need to make this rumor be a thing. I don't think this one's necessarily going any direction meaningful, but again, you've got enough on either side to muddy up the middle. So we're going right down the middle. 50% likely that this goes somewhere because, again, too much up in the air. Then let's talk a little gaming rumor I heard, and this one is actually honestly more speculative than rumor, because of the nature. Let's get into it. Mortal Kombat 12 is reportedly going to use a new fad when it comes to fighting games, and that new fad is auto combos. Apparently, we already know that Street Fighter 6 is going to use auto combos. They have a pretty unique way of doing it, whereas other games that use auto combos, you can basically do your character and turn on these auto combos, or use these auto combos, and just button mash and get crazy huge combos. On Street Fighter, if you turn on your auto combos, then you kind of cripple your character because you don't have the full ability to do whatever you want. So let's move that over to this rumor saying that Mortal Kombat 12 is going to utilize something similar. I think there is a little bit of reason to think that that's the way this is going to go. Mortal Kombat, while they have been the ones out in front of the trends on a lot of gameplay elements for modern fighting games, they also are not one to be left behind necessarily, and this is something that casual gamers are going to flock to. So if you're a casual fighting gamer and you just want to mash buttons and still see your character do things, then I'm sure they're going to include some version of auto combos. Now, are they going to make it as egregious as, say, Tekken or Final Fight or anything like that? I don't think so. I think it will be something a little more akin to what Street Fighter is doing, because that's kind of been the way this has always gone, right? Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. Street Fighter innovates one way, Mortal Kombat innovates another way, and then they start to copy each other, and then one of them pulls ahead and the other one does the same thing, and then they start to copy each other. So that, I think, is a little more logical, and they are so competitive. They are courting esports so much. I can't imagine it is going to be something that you can't turn off in game. Though I am pretty certain, 70% certain to be exact, that this will find its way into the next Mortal Kombat game, and honestly, the next NetherRealm game is even more likely. So that being said, we have a lot more to talk about, but we don't have any more time. So you got to go check out older episodes to get the news. You can check out the back catalog on the main YouTube channel. There is the clips, the shorter version of the show over on the Nerd News Clips channel. You can check the shorts on the social medias, all that stuff, or just click or tap one of the boxes that's showing up to the side of my face right now if you're falling behind in your nerd news. Do all of that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, whatever. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go, though, nerds, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.